Tom Downey here for the Cowboys Report. Once again, it is a critical game. Sunday, 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time. Ravens, the road favorites against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, as we've done for various previews throughout this season, the most comments on today's show will get a free raffle entry into what's going to be an Emmitt Smith jersey for Week 3, since running game is bad. We'll go back to when it was good. Our Ravens host is named Joey. Let's troll Joey. Everyone spam F Joey in the comments section of today's show. As it specifically relates to this Cowboys-Ravens game, with what we saw in Week 1, with what we saw in Week 2, the concerns and the pros and the cons and everything, I am a little bit worried about this Dallas Cowboys team. I think they could very much be in trouble unless the 5 matchups we're about to discuss and the 5 players we're about to discuss, separate of those 5 matchups, there's also, of course, players involved there. Unless they win those matchups and those players step up, there is the risk of this game getting ugly. So let's go to the number 1 matchup to watch. And this, I'm going to spend a lot of time on this because there's some math involved and numbers and stuff you might not be familiar with. Cowboys base defense against 12 personnel. Now, you're on, what the hell is 12 personnel, Tom? If you don't know, it's 1 running back, 2 tight ends. 11 personnel is 1 running back, 1 tight end. 21 is, it's just running back, tight ends with the numbers along the way. Here's the Ravens personnel rates. They run 2 tight end packages, 12 personnel. Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, more than any team in football. 50% of their snaps are in 12 personnel. They also mix in some 2 running back looks, 21 personnel. So it's the fullback in most cases, Patrick Ricard, who's like 300 pounds. That's number 7 rate for them. Their 22 personnel package, which is 2 backs, 2 tight ends, 5%. That's number 5 in the NFL. 20 personnel. It's not pony personnel specifically for the Ravens because it's the fullback, but they're number 1 in that. In fact, they run 11 personnel, 3 receivers, less than any team in football. They just don't do it. They're not good with their wide receivers. They're going to put their tight ends out there. When they are in that 12 personnel package, it is a almost 10% higher clip than number 2, which is Houston. They are the other bottom teams, by the way, in 11 personnel, the Saints. We'll get to them in a minute. Out of that 12 personnel package, they throw it 80% of the time through 2 games this year. They throw, Likely and Andrews are playmakers. They're going to air it out against you. They're 10th in EPA per pass in that package, 3rd in EPA per run, 7th in EPA per play. They're a top 10 offense when they deploy that particular package. Now, my question is this, Mike Zimmer, Dallas Cowboys. Did you learn your lesson from last week? Mike Zimmer made the comment that he was surprised they weren't anticipating being in base personnel as much as they were last week, which honestly made no sense. The Saints don't run 11 personnel. In fact, the Ravens and Saints are at the bottom, along with Miami, funnily enough, by the way, in 11 personnel usage. It is going to be a ton of 2 tight ends looks out there. I promise you, they're going to do it. It is their preferred package, and it matches up well against the Dallas Cowboys. So if that's the case, you have to change your linebacker strategy this week. Deploying Eric Kendricks, Damone Clark, and Maurice Liufau out there for the majority of your plays against Andrews and Likely at tight end is a disaster waiting to happen. I'll explain why and what I would do instead. But what is your confidence level right now in beating the Baltimore Ravens? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. The ad comes on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. I see 3 changes that you can make here. Number 1 is take a page out of the Dan Quinn playbook. Just run more big nickel. Don't treat the tight end as an extra blocker. Treat them as an extra playmaker. And you can add some size in a Wanye Thomas, in a Marquise Bell, to help mitigate what those guys are able to do through the air and also give you more size than having both Jordan Lewis and Kalen Carson out there at the cornerback spot. So I would not be mad about that one. If you really want to stick with the 3 linebacker set stuff, play DeMarvion Overshown. This is the easy one. If DeMarvion Overshone isn't in your base defense and you're trotting him out there consistently, I really don't know what this defensive coaching staff is doing. He was awesome in week 1. He was all over the field. He was constantly around the football. He's averaging like a tackle every 4 snaps, which is very, very impressive stuff. So I just question what you would do if you're not playing DeMarvion Overshone and you're sticking in multiple linebacker packages. Against Lamar Jackson in particular, by the way, I need his speed. Like I need that ability to spy and shadow and have the athletic juice that, frankly, some of the other linebackers don't get you in this game. Number 3, try Micah Parsons at linebacker. Now, I don't really know. I think to an extent we've overblown how good Micah was off ball at Penn State. He wasn't my highest graded linebacker because of that. But it's also avoiding the definition of insanity, doing the exact same thing over and over again. Other issue you kind of run into is you don't have the defensive ends to play around here. Going to give more snaps to Nealon and Golston. They weren't very good against the Saints, by the way. You're kind of a bit limited in your rotations there because you didn't add more talent when you lost 3 guys up front at defensive end. It's a huge issue. But you could try it. Not going to be mad if you try it. Maybe even the spy angle makes sense for Lamar, but also you want to get after the QB. He has to be moving north-south. That's the number one thing for me. I care less about where it is as long as it is a north-south attacking out of Micah. Now, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is America's number 1 daily fantasy sports app. Over 5 million active members. It is simple. You just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player snap projections and watch your winnings roll in. You don't have to deal with finishing top 2%, whatever, to come out on top. You just got to beat the numbers. Here's one of my Prize Picks slates this week. I'm taking the freebie, basically. It's a half passing yard for Caleb Williams. Something Prize Picks is doing every week in September. It's awesome. CeeDee Lamb more than receiving yards. Get him going. Come on. And as much as it pains me, I'm going with Derrick Henry because he should have a nice day against you. More on that in a little bit, by the way. That's 68.5 yards. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play 5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play 5. You don't need to win to get that $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. Top matchup number 2. Outside run defense against what the Ravens want to do. I'm not even including Lamar Jackson in here, whose quarterback scrambles are almost entirely outside runs, and those normally end up being really good plays. But outside run stats. Ravens are 10th in yards per carry, 11th in success rate, 9th in rush yards over expected per attempt, 5th in yards before contact, only 21st after contact. The Cowboys defense, meanwhile, 21st in yards per carry. They don't stuff very many players. It's 29th, just a 10% stuff rate of no gain there. 16th in yards over expected per attempt. 8th in yards before contact. 27th in yards after contact. They were solid against the Browns and then got absolutely destroyed and gashed and embarrassed by the Saints. I am the Ravens. I'm running outside zone left and saying, all right, Derrick Henry, get your full head of steam, have some fun. Can the Cowboys step up? Can they make the changes that they had issues with against the Saints? We'll find out on Sunday. Give me your score prediction now of the Cowboys against the Ravens. Who you got winning is probably a big factor in that, by the way. So let me know in the comments of today's show. Number 3, how do the I would call maybe shaky fronts for both sides of this matchup here when the Cowboys are on defense, how do they fare? It's probably a bit more obvious in some of the run situations, but also some of the passing situations as well. Lamar Jackson's made life sometimes challenging, but also has bailed him out on sack numbers there. Ronnie Stanley has not been the same since his injuries. He's not the same guy. Andrew Voorhees has been a starter for the Ravens, but there's question marks there. Linderbaum is a very good football player. He's maybe the one I would trust the most, as a center, etc. Daniel Falele is a hulking, huge, extra large human being. I kind of don't love his fit, frankly, as a right guard, but he's big. He's been kind of beat out Ben Cleveland. Patrick McCarry and Roger Rosengarten could both very well end up playing in this game. Ronnie Stanley had an ankle in the early week. He seems to be fine now. Meanwhile, your DTs are terrible. Mozzie has the back issue, right? So Oso Digizua, Carlos Watkins, Linval Joseph. Like, oof, boy, do you trust that team? You trust that front against that? It's a matchup of weaknesses. Who comes out on top? Number 4, and this is, offense versus defense, basically, but it's one particular aspect, so I am kind of cheating making this a matchup, but I don't care. Can you generate some explosives on offense? Now, explosive plays are a 10-yard or longer run and a 20 or long pass. 20-yard or long pass. I think those are good numbers there, and that's the general rule. Some do 15. I think 10 and 20 makes more sense. There are 3 explosive plays on the ground this year. 2 of them by CeeDee Lamb. 2 of them on reverses, which I like. Do more of that. 1 running back, Rico Dowdle, on a good 10-yard run. 4 passing plays. 2 of them to CeeDee Lamb. 7 total. All of those numbers entering, of course, a Thursday night football matchup. Bottom 5 or bottom 10 in the league. That's not good. I need to generate explosives. Now, look, there's a couple different ways, especially as you continue to see more and more too-high stuff and disguise too-high stuff and take away the explosive plays. It's what defenses want to do. Defenses don't want you to cook. They don't want big explosive plays. The meta's changed. There are 3 main ways to do that. Number 1, run that football. Get that safety to come back up by running the ball a bunch. And then you can hit play action stuff off it. Then you can hit your vertical shots. You can also challenge some deep shots, but you have to block it up. Cover 2, when you're in cover 2, the seam shot's a great way to beat it. Linebacker can't run with the tight end. That's why the Niners are so dangerous, by the way, because Fred Warner can run. Jake Ferguson, seam shot. Got to be blocked up, though. Takes time. The deep play action bomb from Derek Carr. Got to be blocked up. Your O-line hasn't blocked it up great so far. Or it's just all yak stuff, and you do underneath stuff, scheme stuff, design stuff, get the ball 7 yards downfield, 5 yards downfield, makes a guy miss, picks up an extra 15. You've got one yak guy in CeeDee Lamb, and that's kind of it. You don't have the personnel right now to maximize the explosive plays. That's why it feels like such a chore to move the ball downfield. And your schematics are not great either from a coaching staff perspective. This is an issue not against the Giants and bad teams, but against the best football teams. Now, we'll be live at 3 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. So do not miss out. Join the show and come party with us. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/CowboysTV. Number 5 matchup to watch, the best kicker in the NFL. I think it's time. I think it's time to pass the mantle. And I can't believe I'm having this conversation on my own show. I feel like I've betrayed myself. The last 2 seasons, both Brandon Aubrey and Justin Tucker have attempted 44 field goals. Brandon Aubrey has made nearly 96% of them. Justin Tucker has made 84% of them. They've both tried 56 extra points. Tucker has the slight edge, 4% more-ish. On kicks of 50-plus yards, Brandon Aubrey is 13 of 13, knock on wood. Justin Tucker is 1 of 7. I don't think we can rule out the possibility that our friendly neighborhood alien monstarred Justin Tucker and stole his powers. Because right now, there is a right answer to this question. The best kicker in football? Brandon Aubrey. He's been better the last year and 2 games. Seems noteworthy. Who would you take? BA for Brandon Aubrey, JT for Justin Tucker. We'll go a little bit quicker here so it's not a 20-minute show. Top players to watch, pick your running back. Deuce Vaughn, Rico Dowdle, Ezekiel Elliott. It's going to be a rotation, a combination again here. We'll know by the time this video goes out, man, if we see Dalvin Cook. I have my doubts. Maybe that's a next week thing. They're going to try to run the football because you have to be able to do it in the NFL. You don't want to overrun it, but when teams dare you, You have to be able to. They haven't been able to do it yet. Number 4, Zach Martin. It's a tough matchup. Nnamdi Madubuike, who went by Justin before this. One of the better 3 techniques in the NFL. I'm not saying Zach Martin's bad, but he is mortal now. He's not as good as he was. Now, I think that not running duo with him and Terrence Steele is a mistake, but I don't want to beat a dead horse any more than I already have. But Zach Martin, you have not been the Zach Martin that we all remember at the very best of his game. So that one has to kind of be sorted out at least a little bit more. Number 3, Osa Odigizua. He admitted it too, so I'm not being mean by saying it. That was his worst football game ever. He was terrible against the Saints. He got blown off the ball. He wasn't getting pressures. I hope that's the old wake-up call game, right? That now you're alert, you're gonna lock back in, focus in, and show up a little bit more. So, Osa, you are this team's best defensive tackle. You have to play like it, or it's going to be ugly again. Who do you think on this football team, any side of the football, who do you think needs to show up the most in this game? Let me know in the comments of today's show. Number 2 is Eric Kendricks. Look, this team is going to put him out there a lot. It's fine. Got to be better. Now, I think the DT play was a huge factor in that because they were not kept clean. They need to be kept clean. I need Browns game Eric Kendricks, not Saints game Eric Kendricks. He's going to play a ton. He's your defensive play caller. He's the leader. Got to be big. Got to be big. And finally, Dak Prescott. If you want to put Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, Tank Lawrence, that's all fine and dandy too. I don't blame you at all. I don't disagree at all either. Quarterback's got to play better. Now, you're not going to win football games if the defense is as bad as it was last week. I do want to emphasize that. But you have a better chance of winning games if your quarterback balls out. I think he's actually been pretty fine for the first half of games. Second half, both games got out of hand, both sides of it. Attack early. Let him air it out, and I think better things will happen.